So welcome guys to the halftime show here. We have the Paralympics today actually. And here I am with Andres and Leslie. They're going to talk about the sloths that we have in here, which are really cute, doing their own thing today.
Yeah, so these are some of our sloths with some genetic conditions that won't allow for them to be able to go back into the wild. But they're still pretty important sloths because they allow us to understand a little bit of the complex genetics and all the challenges that these animals are facing in the wild and the different reasons why we might have some of these situations happen to them.
So we have Landon and we have Robin and we have Pringle. And Landon is one of those babies that when he came in, he was, you know, like kind of chunky and looked like a big healthy baby. And we were like, oh yay, he's going to be so easy. And then we realized very, first day that he had no idea where the placement of his limbs were. So he would go to try to, grab onto the branch like he's doing now, like really well. And he wouldn't get it at all. And he would just be flailing around. So his arms were always a little bit better than his legs. So every now and then he could hold on with both, but it would take like a half an hour for him to actually grab both, and then he would just be spinning, like this on the bottom part and not be able to hook up. So we've actually done a lot of different therapies with him.
Landon has a very interesting condition in which he has a lot of problems with what we call proprioception, which means he has a lot of problems associating the parts of his body belong to his body, and so he really has problems with his coordination and movement on the trees. And while he's gotten a lot better, you can still tell that he definitely has some problems associating where his body parts are in relation to the rest of his body. Another sloth with a different kind of condition is, of course, little Robin over here. Robin was born with a condition over on his hands and on his legs, and we can look at him closer if you want to see. So as you can see, he has some hyperextension over on his digits over on this hand, and he has a lot of issues with his legs, which are they don't have a lot of muscle mass to begin with. And last but not least, and you can come with me to see her,
over there.
we have our golden child of our medical program over here.
Yeah.
This is Pringle, and Pringle has a condition called achalasia, which is a hereditary condition that inhibits passage or reduces passage through the esophagus, and so she's very prone to do something that sloths are not able to, or not supposed to be able to do, which is regurgitation.
Yeah.
And while they are not, quite there to be able to compete with the other kids, they are still amazing in their own right, and they can, do all these wonderful things that they do.
Yeah. I think one of the really interesting things is that, as we're working with these sloths, we always come up with different challenges. It's like all of a sudden we have a sloth that can't swallow, well, and is spitting things back up. And so we'll have a meeting, and everybody will be brainstorming, and we'll be like, okay, well, in dogs, they do this sort of treatment. And in, some other type of animal, it's this type of treatment. So what do we want to do here? Do we say, no, we're not going to try a new treatment, or do we try the new treatment? And I think that that's one of the things that is so great about working with the vet team that we have, is that we said, let's try it. And we were all in agreement to try it. And it was, and it worked. It's definitely, it's not like cured her, but it's definitely working to her benefit, and she's able to eat again. And I think that that's one of the really, great things about working as a team. It's always a challenge, and it's always such a joy to see them progressing and them not giving up. And people can follow their progress, and that's, people know about Landon, and they saw him take many falls before he got to this point. So when we say, the Saving Sloths Together program, we really mean that, because it's us saving sloths with you, with your help. We couldn't do this without the help of everybody making donations. It doesn't matter how small or how large, everything helps, and everything comes to this program for the sloths. And so we truly mean Saving Sloths Together, in every sense of the word. And we love having the people support. We love that, our fans know the sloths and know their personalities, and are with us, you know, on this challenge that we have to get these guys back into the wild. So I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody, and yes, Saving Sloths Together.
So this is our wildlife clinic, and this is basically where all of our patients will do a little stint. Overall, we have essentially routinary checks. Every sloth that will come over here, we will do an intake for, we will draw blood, make sure that they're all right, at least in that department.
So since 2016, we have seen an increase in the amount of sloths in general that we receive, being like 2019, the peak, like the year where we received even around more than 160 sloths. Last year, the number of orphan sloths was around 60 animals, and this year we already like going around 40 sloths.
So while we did receive around 65 orphan sloths last year due to several reasons, but mostly due to the condition that most of them are brought to us, be it because they're brought, you know, a week after they're abandoned, or because you know, they're brought to us dehydrated, attacked, electrocuted, or with physical malformations. The reality of the situation is that only about 10 of those 65 sloths managed to move into the ranks into being into preschool and then into school, so that they would be still considered slothletes. And what's really interesting is that during the first years before we started Sloth Ironman Games, and still during the first stages of it, we did not have a pathology program in place to be able to monitor closely the causes of death of the animals that we would receive, which is something that we now do. And we are now catching these strays through the cracks, animals that really have no real way of surviving in the world, animals with very clear malformations that are not compatible with life, that are, you know, before would have just probably died within the first 24 hours. And now we're catching, and sometimes they're living way past what their normal lifespan in the wild would be, just because of the quality of our care. Our intake procedures are a lot more rigorous, they're a lot more strict, and they're a lot more thorough. So now we know where the sloths that we receive are coming from more directly, why they may be coming from more directly. We're in a lot more contact and a lot more close to governmental organizations, which are often the people that would bring us the animals, so that they are aware of why they are actually bringing us the animal. And the reality of what we're seeing, and we have always seen, is that we've always seen sloths that have things that are wrong with them. We're talking about animals with severe malformations, animals like Landon, animals like Robin with very, very clear malformations that we're keeping alive and giving them an opportunity to, you know, have a life. We are eliminating the places where sloths could live, and by encroaching them and putting them in these little spaces, we're ensuring that those genetics will not be mixed thoroughly, and by not getting mixed thoroughly, we're ensuring that we're gonna have sloths with more and more and more malformations coming up every year. And those are, sadly, the sloths that we're more likely to receive as a rescue center. And because of that, those are sometimes some of the sloths that will be, that you guys will see through your screens. So now coming into our more recent cases, we have Tallulah from last year, Noodle from this year, and of course, these are all pre-recorded events. We try to monitor the health of our sloths to make sure that they are perfectly fine and undergoing the process of growth appropriately so that they can participate in this sort of event. It's really something completely innocuous and that doesn't really have any effect on them overall. And so we were pretty confident that Noodle and Tallulah were both pretty good participants, and then months down the line after the event was recorded, something tragic happened, right? Sadly, that seems to be more the case nowadays because of how we are receiving sloths and the way that these sloths are coming from the wild to us. Somebody like Noodle, who had come to us because of a dog attack, more specifically. These animals usually, their prognosis is reserved, and so they can showcase injuries even after extended periods of time that may sadly caused them to pass away even after time has passed. And it is unfortunate that things have happened, but that's more or less kind of the reality of working with these animals and the way that we humans have affected them so profoundly in their day-to-day life.
One of the main conservation issues that these species face is the lack of both scientific and medical research. So we firmly believe that providing that papers and more research on them will allow for political decisions to be made based on medical and scientific evidence.
We wouldn't be where we are right now without your help and all the effort that you put into the Sloth Ironman Games. It's honestly been an event that has been growing ever since we started in 2016. And yeah, this is why we call this program Saving Sloths Together, because only together can we get to the root of why we have this innate misunderstanding of this fantastical species, and only together can we find the resources to be able to come and produce more science so that we can understand this species better into the future.
Definitely Cock is gonna win this year.
No. Pax is gonna win. So goodbye, you guys. Thank you
for tuning in.
Challenges, and have a good day, everybody.